Well, greetings everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of MBTV News, sometimes known as Metaworld News. Live, well, in my case, live from a hot and steamy London, UK, where we are in temperatures unknown to man. Well,
Mm.
any living men. We have a warning for the next 2 days, and those temperatures seem to indicate loss of life in the thousands.
Yeah.
Seriously, seriously. So we are a bit worried, but nevertheless, sweltering away, we've made it here. I must say, I'm just glad that this is a Sunday and we're on amber alerts rather than Monday and Tuesday when we moved to red alerts. So this is as hot as I wanted. Thank you. Right, okay. So my name is Mal Burns. I'm your news reader, so to speak, and your news aggregator. You can find me on Twitter where they squash me. So you go to twitter.com/Mal Burns, and that's MAL. First word, BURNS. Second word, but as I say, squashed into one. So it's MALBURNS. Da da da. And a secondary feed we have for specifically for Virtual Worlds Arts and Destinations, which is named after this channel, oddly enough, twitter.com/MetaWorld News. Anyway, it's a very quiet week, fortunately. I was worried about the computers here melting. I've got 3 running at least, and any one of them could go down at any second, I think. But all the connections seem to be good. Indeed, Google's saying, excellent connection. So there you go. And yeah, well, what news we're going to bring you. I mentioned a Twitter feed because that's where you'll find links to all the articles I'm going to mention, unless I say otherwise. Joining me here, of course, fiddling with his knobs as usual. Notice I say plural. Don't be misinterpreting there. Fiddling with all the knobs.
Who would do
is
that?
who indeed would think to do that?
Who
Right,
would
James
misinterpret?
Atlloud. Hello,
Oh,
James.
hello, Mal. Glad to be here.
Now we've
What?
been talking for about half an hour, but I forgot to mention you got a new kit on.
Oh,
You got
yes. Oh, yes. Right. This is a costume I
fancy.
picked up at the Open Sim Fest, and so it's the
Okay.
theme of the Open Sim Fest is medieval, and so they have this. Let me pan the
Okay.
camera down a little bit. They have this nice garb that a person can
Yeah.
add to their avatar. So kind of lovely. It looks like a black vest, some kind
Yeah.
of some kind of
Oh my days.
shirt, some shoulder pads. But I keep my trademark glasses and hat. So.
Well, I was just going to say, you've got. I dropped on you a while back a whole box of those hats.
Hmm.
You could actually dig up a hat that matched without the same style but color, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's up to you. Anyway, nice change.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
It reminds me of our old studio over in Sansar, where every week you had a different T-shirt on, so we made a point of
That's right.
telling the viewers where you acquired it. So there we go.
Yep.
Right. Anyway, back to the main stuff. When I say James is fiddling with all knobs, we're talking about switching camera angles and sort of video sources, everything from my desktop to the in-world avatar view, and the audio, of course. Don't forget the audio. You need
Oh
to
yeah.
hear me.
Yeah.
Even if we were a talking heads show, you'd need to hear me. But we're
You
not.
and kitties, all the cats we have here.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh wow! Is that rabbit gone in trying to eat the kitty again? No, no. So,
They're
so we got some critters in the studio here, quite
close.
literally in front
Right.
of the news desk. Yes, and well, oh right, well, the kitty's just doing his thing now. He's standing on his hind legs,
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, he's called the rabbit over." And never mind, never mind. We're meant to be here for the news, not obsessing with furry things. Well, I'm a sucker for cats, I must admit.
Oh.
Right. Let's get on to some of the news. These are news headlines, by the way, for the week ending the 17th of July, which by sheer coincidence is the day we're recording this and broadcasting it. So I don't know what day of the week you'll watch it, but it's the 17th of July that we're doing the roundup here. And yeah, first up, I've got a couple of pictures on screen, just get them out of the way. The first one is an announcement July 27th, which will be, 10 days' time. HBO Max in America are streaming a documentary here called We Met in Virtual Reality. There have been quite a few things like this in the past, including one from Interested to Prey in Second Life. This one apparently is filmed virtually entirely in VR chat. The the redeeming thing about this particular one is that despite the cutesy appearances, no, it was not filmed in Meta. What's it called? Meta Questy thingy. Right. It's in VR chat, which is totally Zuckerberg free. So could be interesting. Could be interesting. All about relationships built up in the virtual world and maintained online, but also extending offline, I gather. I've seen little extracts from it, but not the whole thing, obviously, yet. But I'm sure I'll have some more comments on that when it actually comes about. The only other thing I've got here is slightly anecdotal. I've got a very similar, if not the same picture I had ages ago, but I came across this one recently. I'm not sure it's grayscale, and somebody's coloured up her dress, which it rather looks like they have. The more I look at it. But that's curious. That pilot, when the Apple Mac came out, and I'm talking about the original Macintosh. For those of you who don't know, the US Department of Defense, the military, classified it as a weapon, and they wanted it withdrawn for public use. But unfortunately, it was well and truly in public use before they got round to saying, no, we don't want to let them have it. So it never did get drawn, and history has taken its own course. But the reason it's classed as a weapon is that it was about sort of 100 times more powerful than the computer code that got man to the moon. Well, if you want to look at the computer code that got man to the moon, that's it. All stacked up really high there. You can imagine how many actual printed pages of code there are there. And it was all coded by one woman whose name I appallingly forget because that's her. I thought I had her name tagged on the picture, but it looks like I haven't. I've got it tagged somewhere, but she must go down in history, I think. Anybody, in that era, being a woman.
I see Margaret Hamilton is the name I've come up with.
That's it. Yes, yep. Yes, I do believe that's right. Yeah. Okay. So kudos to her. I wonder if she's still around. Maybe she does like the computer history. I quite like the computer history videos where they get, people from.
Yep, she's 85 years old and lives in Paoli, Indiana.
Right.
Or born in Paoli, Indiana, excuse me.
Well, she doesn't look 85 to me. But there again.
There you go.
Neither did I 50 years ago, whenever it was. Right, okay. So kudos to her, I think. Talking of me. Right. Yes. Some people may know what that was all about, but I'm not telling you, because that was the real life me. Putting the pictures away. Okay, and there we have. That
went by so quick.
I know.
Right.
That's the idea. Right. It was there and I couldn't resist clicking, and then I thought, heck no. Right. Before I get to the actual text links and stuff, a couple of things here. This is I had this on desktop on Windows a long while ago. It says it's now available for Mac, but when I went to try and get it, I realised that they actually mean iOS. So on Windows, this is very useful. It was I think a lot of us from Second Life and stuff 10, 15 years ago actually joined this, like we joined Weblins. As a sort of supplement to what we're doing. It probably predates SoapConsume in that regard. What it does is it provides a room or something on your desktop, and you can meet your friends and teleport them over to your room and have a party, or they can teleport you over to theirs, and you can put up doors to your room, and those doors would be doorways into other people's regions, as long as they weren't private. But all it ever had were rooms, including the party venues, was simply a bit bigger room. But what I particularly liked about it, and I can't actually demonstrate because it will be on a Windows machine, and an old Windows machine at that in my case, you had the floor, you had the avatars on them, you could get furniture and drag it into position, and you could get walls and doors to enclose you. They didn't have roofs, but you could move your camera around when your mouse was over this, and it would freeze, so you could move and, like a doll's house, look at it from above and see what was in it, or leave one wall empty so it was more like a stage. And you can meet people and stuff. But the magic was it was very fast, and it worked on your desktop. Right, you didn't need the palaver of logging into a fully fledged virtual world. It did come a bit noisy because it was the sort of thing that got included by a load of kids. But because, unlike say one of the meta chaotic ones, you didn't suddenly arrive in a place with thousands of kids running around. You had your own quiet room, and you got in touch with people you knew on it, and you'd invite them into your room, and you'd have a nice little chat. So there were a whole load of us who were in Second Life who sort of, met up in each other's rooms and just talked as if we were on Skype. And it was great fun. But it seems to have been rejigged now, and from what I can tell, it's very hard to see from this promo whether it's actually floating on the desktop anymore. But it doesn't actually. I couldn't download it on the Mac, but I suspect the advert means I can go and get it for iOS, so I should report back on that. But it brought back a few memories. So and of course it is a desktop product, so. Have a look at it, and that's followed by a thing about in-world AIs, and also this week's edition mapping the metaverse. So we're literally 2 minutes or less, and that's all we got on the video side this week. So let's get them out of the way.
Me, everyone.
You were given the power of invention, but I believe that we were given the power of...
This is going to revolutionize the metaverse. Everyone is going to know about this. You, me, everyone.
You were given the power of invention, but I believe that we were given the power of evolution and we will take over in the future.
One coin in is two-headed and the rest are fair. A coin is picked at random, flipped, and shows heads. Find the probability that the coin is two-headed.
And I was a bit worried when they started talking about coins, but that actually is just a reference to an ordinary coin being tossed. Nothing to do with blockchain coins or bitcoins or anything else that will spell disaster for most people these days. So one more. I have one more clip here. Yes, indeed, I have. And yeah.
Welcome to the Metaverse Insider's daily roundup of Metaverse news. In this week's roundup, we explain how virtual reality can improve medical care. How Mocha Brands managed to raise $75 million in funding. And started our Women in the Metaverse series, empowering women in the industry. Likewise, we also unveiled our interactive Metaverse market map in collaboration with Clara. Furthermore, we shed light on the top Metaverse games currently available. And explored Web3 content creation with Web3 creator platform Edge. Finally, we rounded off the week by partnering the Blockchain Futurist Conference, becoming their official media partners, and highlighted gaming and entertainment startups owning the metaverse. We hope you have enjoyed this roundup. Follow us for your weekly dose of Metaverse news.
Lang, 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 lang. Yes, indeed. So you can look up the Metaverse Insider. I may have a link somewhere else. I don't think I've got any articles from them this week. But there's an RSS feed, and they publish posts and things daily. Not all of it is stuff I would cover, but you get the idea from that little roundup of the sort of stuff they would have covered last week, and sort of indicator of the kind of thing they'll probably do this week too. So I'm going to put this lot away. Yes, my other. Just double check. Right. Right, not that one. Okay. So, yeah, that is it for the videos offline, as it were, there. So we're moving straight into the web pages now, and we're starting where we usually start, which is 2 weeks ago instead of one. Actually, it's Monday, July the 11th, and this is the Scar Ghost. Right. Yeah, it's no there. Right. This is the Scar Ghost, otherwise one known as Tony Patillo. Every Monday he does his week peak, which is a roundup of the week before. So if you go to scarghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com, today you will find that amongst other posts he's got up this week, the week started with this one. But if you go there tomorrow, which will be the 18th, the reasonable time, then you will probably find that the XR week peak for last week has been changed to the one for tomorrow, or the week before tomorrow. You get the idea, don't you? Good way to start the week anyway. Sometimes covers stuff that would have been on this show last week, sometimes other stuff. He's not he does tend to do, I won't say he promotes Meta or Zuckerberg in any way really, but he obviously considers them to be a bit more important in the scheme of things, which they are at the moment. But I think in the future we will hopefully have got rid of any memory of them. Right, something called Project Cambria. That's also to do with the Zuckerberg empire. Digital Markets Act, we had a separate feature on that last week. Here in the EU, a new law limits excessive power of big tech corporates and favours better competition. And he gives a roundup there. We did it last week here, so I'm not going to repeat myself. So find us at scarghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com, and look out for a new fresh one there tomorrow. Right, so ArchDaily, Arch being architecture, basically. This site, I know, was founded by Sean Bouchard, who used to do Wikitecture and stuff in Second Life ages ago. But basically, this is just an article, again, for the beginning of the week, asking whether the metaverse really is the end of barriers for architects. Very interesting, really. You don't really have to be an architect or know about architecture to realise that that's one of the sort of professions where they've been using CAD, computer-aided design technology for many, many years. And, you can easily see in a traditional architect, he draws his floor plan and he's got measurements for heights and weights and stuff. And even all on paper, you can imagine those pieces of paper on a screen and then moving that into kind of 3D. It's a bit like it's about like aircraft simulators, sort of gave us an early glimpse of 3D environments that you can move around in, although in that case specifically to aircraft and landscapes, of course. So architects have always been very keen with this, and this site particularly was involved in Second Life very early on. Sort of, there's two ways of looking at it. There's the architects who go into virtual worlds to do their architecture and prototype it, and then use that prototype to sell this, as it were, to the real world. There are others who go in with already existing real world projects, to simulate them. So, for example, if you've got a building full of flats to let, you can actually create an in-world environment for, the what do we call them? Estate, realtors, I think they're called in America, real estate people. So they can actually show you in a computer, walk around of a flat you might be wanting to buy. And that's especially useful if it's not a flat that's just around the corner. If you're moving from New York to California or something, you're not going to just pop out quickly to have a look at the place you want to move to. It's a nice idea to have a walk around virtually, should we say. Anyway, just an article really about the metaverse in the context of architects. And yes, you find this at archdaily.com. I said ARCHDAILY.com. and remove that, move down. We're now at cesium.com. This is really a PR site. They have a lot of PR releases here. 12th of July, a couple of days on from that, Tuesday or something. Trust and safety in the metaverse, basically, here. cesium.com. I think the exact post for this is buried on the site somewhere. So, as always, do follow that Twitter feed I gave you, twitter.com/Mal Burns, MALBURNS. Going there, you'll see these titles. You can click on any link and it will take you to the exact page you need. And, of course, there are many other items on that feed other than the ones I've chosen to talk to you about today. So, this is trust and safety in the metaverse. I'm just going to give us a quick, it doesn't look very good, but I just want to have a quick look. Yeah, it's building the open metaverse. So this is actually a podcast, which you can click on, or you can go to Spotify to get it and subscribe. You can get it all over the place, really, or Apple Podcasts for that matter. And the video here is on trust and safety in the
Today
metaverse.
on building the open metaverse.
Oh, yes, it is. So she's just really slow.
In the coming 2 years, we will see the legislations in place, and they will look like something like the GDPR for safety.
Right. Okay, I don't think I've actually got that one in any downloaded format or anything, so or embedded elsewhere. So good reason I checked there. What you will find, however, actually, is that the entire interview has got a transcript here. So if you prefer reading the interview on health and safety or whatever, you can actually read it. And if you've got a reading mode, like I have, you can read it more clearly. So, podcast or read, whatever you want there. Trust and safety in the metaverse. Right. I'm just going to do a quick naughty there. I'm going to bring that up again very quickly. And because I didn't know there was a video for this. So I'm going to just copy my link there to my clipboard, right? So that I know where it is, and there we are. I'll move to the XR Association before I do that. I shouldn't do this sort of stuff live, giving away. But I insist on having these. If I miss something, then I don't want to miss it. Oh dear, my widget here is taking a while. There we are. Okay, put that way now. Okay. So the XR Association and ITIF, based in Washington D.C. Oh, go away. Sorry. They're going to host an XR policy conference, and yeah, they've been twittering about it and things. But this is just a actual text roundup. You'll find this at xrtoday.com, who are affiliated with the XR Association anyway. So xrtoday.com, and yeah, if you're interested in conferences, that might be one for you. Moving down, this time I can remove that one too. Okay, now we announced this last week, I'm pretty sure. Matthew Ball, who's considered to be a major bloke on Metaverse front, really. This is another audio podcast. It's on Apple Podcasts, I think. It's basically him talking about the Metaverse and gaming. The new, about an hour long, this is interesting. He's sort of very experienced, this guy. I recorded July 6th, so quite literally 10 days ago or something. He's actually in this, well, I say he's in the news recently. He's actually published a new book, which came out maybe about a week ago, 10 days ago. So things like this podcast and interview and everything else are actually a accumulation of media things, really, basically, going on around him since the book came out. Forbes and all sorts of the other sites that I often feature here do actually have their own reviews of the book. So it's fairly unanimously well received. I think it's a bit of a generation or divide in terms of appreciating what he talks about. He has been at it a while, as all the greats have been. But yeah, it's well, let's say he's one of the managing directors of Epilon & Co., venture partner at Maker fund, and the book is called The Metaverse: How It Will Revolutionize Everything. So with a title like that, you can't really miss it in the bookshop, can you? Okay, moving on. This time we're at eejournal.com, so that's two E's there. eejournal.com. And they ask the question, did the metaverses, bad language that, it should be, you don't need a plural as far as I know, but anyway, did the metaverse Holy Grail just arrive? And whoever wrote this says his head is jam-packed full of thoughts on all sorts of stuff, including consciousness, pain, octopuses, robots, holograms, and Monty Python and the metaverse. Even I don't include octopuses and pain in my all sorts of thoughts, but I can sympathise. Right. Okay. Why do we need to know that Bad Babylon 5 is available on HBO Max? Not quite sure. I think it's a run into the idea that this guy's quite into science fiction, and also he's relating to the M word, as it were, as something that is, but is also predated by its science fiction concept. So obviously he deals with Snow Crash and stuff that they mention Stevenson uses the expression 119 times in the book. I'm surprised that's all, actually. And he capitalized it each and every time, whereas some purists believe that beyond the book, the capitalized, that's metaverse with a capital M, form should always be used irrespective of the word's position at the start, in the middle, or at the end of the sentence. By comparison, cooler and calmer folks take the view that the word metaverse is not a proper noun, and as such should be capitalized only at the beginning of a sentence or in a title. So, there the arguments go, don't they? This is just a sort of interesting article, really, whether it deserves to be up here. It certainly deserves to be in my links, but it's sort of... He ends up by talking about something called Swave, S-W-A-V-E, and it's a startup literally a few weeks old, and it was formed to take the holographic extended reality, that's HXR, yet another one for us to go with, technology developed by Ionic, and use it to bring the metaverse to life. As folks in Swave say in their own words, their technology is the holy grail of the metaverse, delivering lifelike, high-resolution 3D images that are viewable with the naked eye with no compromises. Yeah. Bring it on, I say. I don't think that's the one that can do that without any kind of headgear. I'm not sure. There is that. Yeah, actually, this is the one. Yeah, this purports to be the Swave technology. That is something that you don't actually need a conventional headset for. So it comes without all the headaches and problems of that. We will see what we see. Anyway, if you want to read about that, go to eejournal, eejournal.com. Right. I've never had it. Is it Hyundai or something? I don't know how to pronounce
Hyundai is what I've said.
Hyundai, yeah.
Just Hyundai.
Anyway,
yeah.
Hyundai.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, could be. Anyway, they've imagined a grim future. Are they Chinese? No wonder it's a grim future. I don't know. Might have got that wrong. I better shut up. Grim future where the metaverse artists live in their cars. Now, there's something very... if you've ever seen The Fifth Element, the movie where the protagonist lives in a cubicle and the cubicle adapts to what he's doing. So it's like no bigger than a toilet, really, but it becomes a kitchen when he wants food, it becomes a bed when he wants to get into bed, and so forth. And it's a very amusing scene where he tries to hide people in it too, but enough of that. Conceptually, it depicts an overcrowded world where people rely on being online in the metaverse, and an increasing number of people being classified as what you might call artists, and living that way. But this is rather interesting because we've got the rise of smart cars and everything, and I think we should be getting rid of cars, full stop. Because there is no need to travel really in anything that requires a car these days. The rare occasions you need to, you can get on a train, but basically just do stuff online. We need backups, just in case some evil foreign dictator decides to come to war with the country and destroy our infrastructure. Then we might not be able to get online, and we may need to rely on British Rail. And they probably won't be working either because their computers are down. But you get the idea. Hopefully, it doesn't come to that. Technically, you can imagine somebody now who's got like a camper van, and they've got everything kitted out, like the car accessories and stuff like that, and they literally not only live in their camper van, but it's their office too, for in the internet age. So it's interesting here. Of course, the titles say they imagines a grim future where artists actually live in their cars. So it's I know. Where is this video? Okay, we're gonna have a look at this live here. If I can. This is another one I should have downloaded but haven't. Okay, come on, move it. As you can see at the bottom there, this is Ionic Q6.
Space. What it means to each of us is personal, unique, and having space anytime, anywhere allows new thoughts and greatness to be awakened. And yes, even a vehicle can be that space. In order to offer a space of possibilities for you, careful thought was put into both the interior and exterior design from the beginning. And the cabin was stretched out to increase the space inside. It's a space that fits your diverse lifestyles, that pursues sustainability, and that cares about you. From the interior to the exterior.
Okay, I'm not altogether keen about running something that's basically an advert for a car. And I love the little line at the bottom. It's off screen here. You guys see it, where they describe it as the ideal space to awaken your potential and destroy the planet while they're at it, no doubt. Okay, I don't quite see the context there with what becomes a promo to the article that actually says a grim vision. You don't normally advertise something by describing it as a grim vision, but maybe I think they're separate things there, aren't they, really? I'm just going to head us back, use the good old back button here. And, yeah, I think, yeah. Okay. I'm not going to, that is actually about 12 minutes. And apparently that starts to be, that advert becomes to into a kind of story, so to speak. I might show that another time, but they claim the car is an ideal place for a nap, a mindful cocoon for single young urban professionals. I don't know what planet these people are on. It does seem like one of those seeing some idyllic, technological future where people don't have to worry about petroleum and power sources and anything else like that. I suppose it could be an electric car, but then again, why would you want to choose a car as an operating space? It's designed for one thing, and that's for transport, and we need to be getting rid of them. Anyway, enough of my thoughts on that. You can probably gather I might go on if I'm left to. You'll find this post at theverge.com, theverge.com. Right, so let's spin that one. I'll remove it from my list, that is. Now, this is a good one. This is from James Atlloud of New World Notes. Now, James was a sort of embedded reporter at Second Life for many years. He then moved on, and he was an embedded reporter with something called Blue Mars, if you remember that. But really, he's back. He's independent now, and he's still basically everything he pumps out is really to do with, a couple of posts a day, anecdotally, mostly about Second Life. I mean, I think it's fairly automated with, pays for itself with Google adverts and everything else. But in this case, he's talking about an artist, a wonderful artist who was in Second Life called AM Radio. Now, his real name is Jeffrey Berg. That's the real name of AM Radio. And that's from the Cornfield, which was, actually it was called The Far Away. I don't know why I'm mixing it up with the Cornfield. And, he's... it's now possible using programs like Crayon to a text-to-image generation tool powered by AI to automatically create images strikingly similar to the Second Life installation that took him many years and not days to create. So he's basically discovered that he can create his own work much quicker using this technology. And anyway, he's telling James Wagner about it, and there's a little bit of an interview at the end there. Ironically, I was at an event earlier in the week, nothing to do with virtual worlds, but the guy with the website was showing me on his iPad. He had, he was going to photos, and he was just pressing a button, and instantly there was a sort of tracing effect, and then he put on an effect on the photo and everything else like that. Made a cartoon kind of out of the photo, and apparently he was doing this for every photo he was sticking on the website, and I just looked in horror and thought, well, it used to be fun to do that stuff. You felt you'd achieved something after spending a few hours on it, but this takes a few seconds, and it's just so artificial. Well, to me, it's artificial, but I mean, I suppose to somebody who doesn't draw or never has to deal with actual artwork, they probably are fooled. It's like fake news. It's all done now. That is a machine illustration, but actually, that to me, that just looks like a photo that's had an effect, which involves other elements put over it. It's all fascinating stuff. I actually love some of this stuff for the aesthetics, but I've long since been wary of an artist coming up to me and saying, show me something digitally, and saying, look at this wonderful thing I've done. And I think, how many Photoshop buttons did you have to press to get that out in 30 seconds? It's all too easy these days. But that's life. Anyway, nice that it's a kind of the article is a more general article, of course, but it's nice that it's AM Radio, aka Jeffrey Berg, who's actually talking about it there on the future of art in AI, etc. Right, so put that one away. Oh, sorry, that one is at nwn.blogs.com. NWN is New World Notes, but you don't need that. You just put nwn.blogs.com. Right, remove that. Moving down again, the new virtuality experience places viewers inside the 1947 partition of India and Pakistan. Now, this is a standalone thing. It's called Child of Empire, and the British Film Festival expanded. BFI expanded, it's called, from the 1st to the 7th of August. It hasn't come up yet. They're presenting the London premiere of this. It's not actually a film, it is actually an immersive experience, and the BFI's year-long programs now include immersive art and XR. So, just a little bit about that if you don't know. August 22 marks the 75th anniversary since the partition of the Indian subcontinent and the emergence of India and Pakistan as independent nation-states. British colonialism came to an end, and the confrontation between the two nations led to the displacement of some 15 million people and tragic death of more than 1 million. It was a pretty horrifying instance. I mean, it was we, the British, I think after we'd given them sort of independence, but oversaw the partition, and it was pretty rough because the former region, which was India, and included Pakistan, were you had Islamic people, Hindu people, all sorts actually. But Pakistan was basically created as an Islamic state and separately from India. And for some reason, my history on this is not very good, but for some reason, we Brits decided that rather than cope with a bit of internal turmoil, they'd literally annex a whole bit of India and call it Pakistan as an independent state. And it seems to me that ever since then they've both developed nuclear weapons in parallel. They never stop arguing, and it's never got to be particularly bad. But whilst this actual partition was taking place, there were some pretty horrific stories, and something we've got a bit of time for me. It's not a rabbit hole here, but I actually watched the latest series of Ms. Marvel, the TV series, the 6-parter, and the new incarnation of Ms. Marvel is a young Islamic girl in I don't know, some sort of Detroit, I think it's set in. I'm not sure. Although she does go to Pakistan at one of the a couple of episodes near the end to discover herself, kind of thing. I won't go into the details, but it has a couple of sequences where she's looking into her family past, and not only is the portrayal of Islamic family life and stuff very accurate, which more so than you would ever dream that Marvel would have come up with, actually, but also many references to her. Things like her grandmother and things who actually experienced life during partition. And they've included that as part of the backstory narrative for Miss Marvel, which is, it's great to see, because it'd be easy to whitewash over that and come up with some very clinical backstory for a new superhero. So it's very good. But the whole idea of this is that you would be able to experience the whole aspect of this yourself, the long migrations, lost migrations, which is another part of the Child of Empire story, examining the human impact of global migration through the lens of the 1947 partition of India and Pakistan. It gets its world premiere, as I say, 1st of August, at the London premiere there. As far as I can tell, it is suitable for and therefore will be online somewhere at some point. But I guess this since COVID has supposedly run its course, which it hasn't, of course, a lot of the museums and art galleries that sort of traditionally they hold back these things because they want you to go to their gallery to witness them. They don't actually want to put anything other than cheeses online. So they can, and that seems to come back now. During COVID, a lot of stuff went straight online. But now a lot of these things are probably going to be at places like the BFI and on the South Bank for a certain amount of time, and then maybe move to exhibits in other countries. So no guarantee of exactly when it'll be available online, but certainly it's the kind of thing that is designed to be available online. And you could probably get a feel just from this picture of the way it would look as you're looking at it virtually. You got the Indian on the left and the Pakistani on the right there, and the map, and if nothing else, actually, that is something I would like to know is going to be accessible online for children as part of education. Anyway, right, let me, as I said, okay, this post you'll find at bfi.org.uk, so that's bfi.org.uk. And let's go to that. Right, now we're going to scientificamerican.com. So you've had enough of the UK now, we're going to go for American scientists, I guess. People are coming to grips with having an extra pair of arms in VR. This is a rather odd one. You hear lots of stories about, in academic articles about sort of the psychological impact of VR and what you can do in VR and everything else. But this actually comes to the point of having an extra pair of arms, not just having simulated arms, but psychologically suddenly finding yourself with an extra pair. In other words, 4 arms, 2 real ones and 2 virtual ones. And it showed new experiments show simulated robotic limbs can feel like a part of our own body with a little practice. There's nothing actually new in this kind of report, because it's familiarity. The longer you're in an immersive experience, the more your real body sort of fools itself that it's in that for real. And there can be a point where there could hypothetically be a point where you're trapped in an immersive experience and you can no longer tell the difference. You probably have starved or could died of thirst in the meantime, but that's beside the point, isn't it? Immersion does actually, create a feel. We found this in early Second Life. People would go into Second Life. They would be in there just long enough to feel really immersed, like they're in a real place with real people, which in a sense they were. And then something would happen, and they'd panic. And of course, all they had to do was log out, or close the window, or teleport elsewhere. A million things they could do to get out of a tricky situation. And the fact that a tricky situation really wasn't any tricky at all because it was all virtual, but it could scare people or whatever. But people would not do the obvious thing because they'd been immersed for so long that they believed they were in the environment. They'd lost the perception of being able to say, right, close the window, log out. They'd forgotten that there was a log out available at the end of the road. They were in the world and, having a bad time. Whereas, they can finish the bad trip within seconds, so to speak. Anyway, this extending of your own body part of it is quite interesting. But I do quite like the... I haven't seen this particular possibility referenced before, where, for example, your hands in your real world would be doing a particular task, right? Which related to VR, of course, because there's not much else you could be doing with the headset on. But having robotic arms in the virtual environments as well, giving you kind of 4 arms to do to manipulate more complex tasks than you can do with 2 hands. It's sort of fascinating. It's basically, it's not just a virtual environment, but your avatar is suddenly empowered with extended limbs. Well, if we can fly in virtual worlds, why not have a few extra limbs to play with? I don't know. Clearly, this is VR headset land. There's no way you can actually use 4 hands, on a virtual world in a flat screen environment. But this could actually be quite curious. And actually, in the enterprise too, it could be very interesting on, manipulating tools on the factory floor and things like that. Anyway, it's just a roundup feature there from Scientific American. So that's ScientificAmerican.com or scientificamerican.com. And find that on twitter.com Mal Burns or finding it Scientific American. Right. Last couple of items here. VR Scout. This technology can turn the real world into living art. Why not? That's what I say. The world is living art. Otherwise we'd be dead, wouldn't we? We want to be alive to be art or something. Researchers can take an image and use it as a reference point to create virtual world object or person. Now, I've been seeing a load of this stuff already happening online, so it's not really news, but at least this sort of brings it in perspective. Cornell University published a paper looking at a growing trend and a solution for producing stylized neural radiance fields. And good, they've got an acronym for this. It's SNERF_S. God. Why don't we just learn to say stylized neural radiance? Well, I can understand why we don't do that. But the acronym is just as bad. Anyway, the ability to quickly and easily build out stylized 3D content in virtual worlds will only become more important moving forward, with companies exploring the metaverse through presence of digital twins, etc., etc. So it's a little bit of a roundup looking at the stuff there. I've got a feeling, I don't know, we probably haven't. Did we watch that last week? I probably didn't actually, because it's a bit of an ad for something called Meta, which doesn't sound very particularly attractive to me. Anyway, yeah, well, a roundup article here telling you all about it, how it's done, and improving avatars, etc., etc. Based really on the paper at Cornell University exploring it there. So find this at vrscout.com, VRSCOUT.com. And if you wonder why I've been stretching this out a bit, I said it was going to be a fairly quick show. This is the last item before I go to the Mastodon feed, and this is from LA Times, Los Angeles Times, LATIMES.com. And is Hollywood ready for the 3D internet? And this is one of the things I did mention earlier when we were talking about Matthew Ball and his book. Forbes, well, it's actually Charlie Fink of Forbes who actually wrote the review of the book as part of his roundup. But this one is LA Times, and this is Disney CPO talking here. But basically, this is their review of Matthew Ball's book. But of course, being LA Times, they're more interested in the Hollywood cinematic applications of the metaverse and the things Matthew has to say about that. But basically, it's a review of the book, from that the Hollywood perspective, shall we say. Big review too, so quite a good one. You will find if you Twitter Michael Ball or Matthew Ball, sorry, or look at Google, there have been loads of reviews of this book, and the adverts for the book at Amazon are all over the place. So you won't have, as long as you remember the name Matthew Ball, you'll have no problem finding more. Okay, and that's that. That's it, as it were. Except that I'm now moving to my Mastodon feed, and these I collect the videos of interest really each week on the Mastodon feed. I may start including podcasts in this feed too, simply because it's media to watch or listen to, really. But all my posts that I put up here do automatically go to my Twitter feed too. So if all you do is follow my Twitter feed at twitter.com/Mal Burns, you'll get all this stuff one way or another anyway. Mastodon is simply an alternative place you can go to follow me. And you just go to mastodon.social/ and then the @ symbol Metaworld. Right. So a couple of things. Firstly, I'll go down here first. This the Weekend XR podcast with Charlie Fink and Ted Shilowitz, I mean. Their guest here is Jason Warnocky from AccuCentre. And that was published at the end of the week. I think it was about Friday on YouTube, of course. You can click through to YouTube or you can watch it on my feed here. And,
so it's going to have to do some tricks to justify it. But
well, we haven't got time to play it all anyway, but that's how easy it is. Now, it's only 38 minutes this week, but the reason this is what looks like the same thing above. They did a special episode this week. Right, and this actually again is an interview with the aforementioned Matthew Ball about his book. Needless to say.
A networking expert. I'm not a computing expert. I am relaying and formalizing, trying to do my best job distilling for a novice audience my still somewhat amateur understanding that is drawn from many other experts.
Well, one of the fundamental insights of the book, of course, and this was my second book, which is this is not about the metaverse per se, as much as it is being brought about by the convergence of a large number of technologies.
Okay, well, got a brief glimpse of Matthew Ball himself there, actually. If you're on my Mastodon feed, or of course you can just go to This Week in XR at YouTube, and it seems to arrive at YouTube pretty early again now. The place you can watch it live is the OR site, awe.live, and you'd have to go to that site to find the timings. But when it's being recorded, it's a bit like us when we're live. Well, we're at YouTube, but you know, we'll be embedded somewhere else maybe. So you can watch it live, which gives you a bit of a heads up on the actual publication. Right. Okay. Now we also had a new edition of Between Realities this week, featuring something called Paradise Decay. That's him. And earlier in the week, actually, that July 9th, 9. Yeah, that may have still been here last week. F Reality. Now, unless I'm very, very wrong, because I hunted high and low for it, no upload VR this week, I gather. Did you, unless you saw one, James?
Yeah, I don't. I think I was pretty busy this week, so I'm not sure that I even got a chance to look for it. But I'm not recalling it right now.
They did have a few posts up this week, which are like their game reviews and things like that they do on video too. But the actual upload VR didn't seem to happen. It's already bookmarked for this coming week, so I've got the reminder that will come through when it goes on air. So my guess is they just for some reason took a week off. As I said here, it maybe has just been a bit of a quiet week looking back on a lot of this stuff. So that's it. That's it for this show, believe it or not. And, well, we're nearly on the hour, but what the heck. James, any thoughts? Actually, there's not exactly a huge catalogue of things to have thoughts about this week, but...
No, not really. I know I like the article about being in your car. Sometimes during the pandemic, I just wanted to get away, so I'd get into my car, and I would get away.
Yeah.
But that
I
was
suppose, well, I guess it's a kind of variant of lockdown, isn't it? You know, lock yourself in, but still move.
But it was a place to be that was safe from COVID, right? So that's why it was kind of like, oh, I can get away, I can go be someplace, leave the house, but be safe from COVID.
Yeah, be safe and also be on your own for a while,
right,
kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
I did that when I had children too.
Yeah, I'm quite sure about that. Yeah, it's a kind of oddity. I mean, you know, some people have sheds, don't they? That they don't let anybody else
go out to the garden shed.
Yeah. Other people have their own camper vans or caravans,
right?
Parked, and they run away to hide in those. So, I don't know. I'm glad the world is turning to electric cars, and from what I gather in the UK, the take up here at least is very high.
Mm-hmm.
People have actually realised they're going to have to switch before they're not allowed to run the petrol ones anymore.
Right.
And to me, I've never driven. I used to ride I used to have a motorbike and several actually when I was younger, but never really been a car driver. Never needed to. You know, it's cheaper to get a car or public transport when you need to go somewhere. But you know, it seems to me that in this day and age, you know, some people just can't walk around the corner to the supermarket without doing it in a car. It's just obsessive, and it's become a symbol. I don't mean, the make of the car might be a status symbol, but it's an icon in itself that is, in many ways, we've got to get rid of them. Even if they're all electric, we still got to find electricity from somewhere. So, we've got to cut down on using resources. I've probably got to cut down from running 4 computers down to 2, or maybe 3. I don't know. But yeah, that sort of thing, especially, they'll probably explode in this weather anyway. Dreading tomorrow. But yeah, it's... For somebody who's never really driven a car, I can sort of see, wouldn't life be easier now I'm getting a bit older if I had a car? But it'd have to be an electric one. Then I actually started investigating the amount of money I'd have to pay for the car license, for the parking in the borough I live in, the fuel, And by fuel, I mean, even if it was electric, they charge a fortune for the electricity anyway nowadays, but also even more at the charging points. And, you know, the cost of running the darn thing, you know, would be prohibitive. Well, I don't know, might be able to afford it, but it would just be a waste. You keep the thing parked outside your house for use it once a month or something, you know. Well, I would, because I just wouldn't be into just getting to the thing. I mean, maybe when I was young, I would get on the motorbike and go and travel anywhere, really, you know, within reason. But I don't know, that was a bit different. In those days, we didn't even have to wear helmets, so it was a bit of the wind in your hair kind of sensation. Which when I was 17 or 18, I would have loved that kind of stuff, you know. But I don't know. I mean, the prominence of car culture in the modern world is just horrifying. Even if it all becomes electric, it's still going to be a problem. But I must say, given that, it is nice to see, you know, it's... Well, in Apple, for example, you can they're talking about an Apple car, but they already have these dashboards and things that are like iPads, aren't they? You can use the apps, and you've got sat nav and all that. You know, technology came to the cars quite a million. You know, I think I was in a car being. It was about 25 years ago, maybe even more. I remember having to go to a wedding in the middle of nowhere. And somebody in the car gave me a ride back to the station. And it was the first time I'd been in the car and witnessed sat-nav. And in this case, it was, you opened the boot of the car, and it was like a computer in there. It wasn't like the small sat-nav things you get now. And, you know, because I'm not a car person, it had not occurred to me that what sat-nav was and what the use for it was, if you see what I mean. Not because it wasn't keeping up, it's just that it didn't fit the context of my worldview, because cars didn't. So, you know, times move on, you know. But I'm quite happy to have sat-nav when I'm walking around with a phone, quite frankly.
Yeah. Google
Maps can show me where I'm going, and if I take the wrong corner, it, you know, turn left instead of right, it can beat me and say, "Silly old fool, I said right, not left." That kind of thing. So, what the hell. I love it. Actually, the only good thing about this hot weather is that, not the hot weather we got now, but the moderate hot weather we have recently, is I've been going out a lot more.
Oh, okay.
Well, just for walks and things. And I finally got used to the fact, because it didn't happen in the winter, but my Apple Watch now sort of, it keeps giving me a running commentary on how much I've been walking and what my heart rate has been, and whether I've met my achievements, and God knows what. It's popping up endlessly. You go, beep! And I look at it, and I can't see what it says, because I'm the until I get my glasses out, and then I read it and it says, "Congratulations, you just done," or nice. You just reached 7 beats a minute or something. Yeah. Yeah, there's something nice about it, actually. But yeah, and of course, you know, it too, you know, just the watch is following me on the map too. So even if I don't open the phone, I can get the map up and see where I am. Not that I can't see it because it's too small a screen, but you get the idea.
Yep.
Marvelous technology. So I suppose it swings and bounds about, isn't it? We've got an ecological conscience about a better world, and also how wonderful it is that new technology can help make that better world. But at the same time, we've got to be careful that the same technology isn't actually just making the same old thing worse. So swings and roundabouts, I guess.
Yep. So,
thank you, James. You gave me the obligatory rabbit hole for me to jump down at the end there.
Right, that's what I'm here for.
There we go. That's what you're here for. So we've just... we're still only 1 hour 4 minutes. So it wasn't...
Not bad.
It wasn't a big dive.
Nope. No, sir.
Okay. Well, that's very good. Let's see. I don't need that open anymore. So we will quit that, and all I've got left is a miserable looking desktop. Okay. Well, yeah, I haven't got any sort of news relevant videos. I've got quite a load of in-world experiences, should I say, ready to show next time we do one of our in-world review programs, but they don't really fit here. And also, it is so tiring at the moment. All I want to do is render myself horizontal in a position that is midway between the open window at the front and the open window at the back of the house, because that way I will experience any breeze there is.
Good planning.
Good planning, yes. Whether it stays that way. Sorry, I'd forgotten to have a drink while we were talking there. No wonder my mouth was dry. Right. Okay, well, thanks for watching, everybody. I think we're just about got it all down there. We'll be back same time, same place with no news next week, unless our machines have exploded or melted or whatever else they do. Or in fact, I've melted, or whatever else the sun will do to me. I do not know. 100 degrees temperatures is, well, it's 40 degrees is the centigrade, isn't it? Yes, so that's over 100. We're expecting to be over 100 in Fahrenheit, and I can't remember ever experiencing anything like that before. Into the 90s, as I've had at one point, but anyway, if I want to take my temperature, it's like 98 or something. Is it 95.8 or 8.5?
Your body temperature?
Yeah.
Yeah, 98.6 Fahrenheit is what I think is considered typical. Yeah.
Right. So we're going to be in degrees above my blood temperature now. So, this means the blood inside me is going to be getting much closer to boiling point. My blood will be higher. I don't know. I'm investigating whether, I think there's something like, I don't know whether it's aspirin or paracetamol, but one of those painkiller sort of things that you take for headaches. It actually has the function of lowering your body temperature.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
No, it's part of the painkilling operation.
Okay.
Right. So if you've got a headache, you've sort of whether you've got an actual temperature or not. I think it's paracetamol. It actually reduces your blood temperature, not by much. But anyway, I'm going to go off and investigate that, because anything I can take to make my blood go off the boil will be appreciated.
All right. Well, I know something that I've done is, or my grandmother would do, is take a pot of ice water and put a fan that blows the ice water over onto yourself. It's a cheap air conditioning. Cooling. It's cheap cooling, right? Blowing.
Yeah, so just get a whole load of ice and stick it in a tub, and then put my fan on the floor next to it.
Yep.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I've got a fan. It's actually on the floor anyway. It's under a table, because that way being under a table gives it a bit, pushes the air out more. So
it's a way to make do. So.
Yeah. Good point. So actually, maybe what I should do is get some ice on the works. Mind you, my freezer's suffering too.
Oh, of course, right.
It's the temperature is so high that it's affecting the freezer too. I mean, it's not totally melting everything, but the sort of frozen things aren't quite solid anymore.
Struggling.
Yeah. So, but yes, good idea that. Okay. What do we do about the heat? Your answers on a postcard, please. No, on an email, please. No, on an instant message, please, because I need them quick.
Extended siesta. You know the Spanish siesta?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's every day to me.
In the heat of the day, right.
That's actually is very much like me. Anyway, especially because the heat makes me get up early, and therefore I do need the siesta. So 3 to 5 in the afternoon UK time is a good nap time. I don't need it so much in the winter when I've had a good chunk of sleep. But anyway, getting old. I deserve a nap. Mid-afternoon nap. I love that actually, and it's. I used to love it visiting places like Spain, other than France or something, because they would get up early and they'd start work quite early, and then they'd have sort of lunch. And then everybody would go off for a nap for about 4 hours, and then suddenly offices and things will fill up again early evening. And people will be on like the second shift of the day well into the evening before they go out partying late. So, you know, the whole lifestyle was being governed by, you know, the need to have this siesta when the temperature got too hot. So, good stuff. But too hot and too hot are a different thing. Right. We should call it quits. I've just realised we haven't called it quits yet. Anyway, I wish everybody a cool, as opposed to hot, morning, afternoon, evening, or even tomorrow, or except that's going to be even hot. No, wherever and whenever, or whatever you are. I've got it all mixed up today. The brain is foggy already. We will be back same time next week. Meanwhile, it's goodbye from me, goodbye from James, and XR, VR, AR, blah blah. Ooh.
I'll join you at the bottom.
We
are.
Okay, everybody. Stay cool, stay healthy, keep safe, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.